My Cousin by Becka. I have a cousin who is about 7 years older than me. We aren't really that close anymore, but when I was a kid, she would spend a lot of time at our house, so much so that she almost felt like a big sister to me and my little brother. I remember weird things started happening about 2 years after my brother was born. All of a sudden, the locks to the toilet wouldn't open. Light bulbs would blow up. The cat would start hissing and chase something that wasn't even there. My parents would always be there trying to fix the toilet lock, change light bulbs, and calm the cat down. I didn't really see it as paranormal. I just thought it must be because the house was old and ready to fall apart. About this time, my parents started getting annoyed at each other. They would discuss things behind closed doors and would not tell me what they were so upset about. My mom had bought a new rug for the living room. It was light green, and she was really proud of it. The annoying thing was that we weren't allowed to have snacks in the living room, because that could stain her precious rug. It must have been a Saturday afternoon. My brother was having a nap, and Liza, my cousin, came to visit. She had brought thick watercolor paper, paint, and brushes with her. I was ecstatic. I loved to paint and still do. I helped my cousin set it up on the kitchen table. My mom said we needed to place something on the table to protect the wood. We always had a pile of newspapers next to Dad's armchair in the living room. Mom suggested we use that. So my cousin went out of the kitchen to the living room. All of a sudden, we heard our cat hissing, and then it ran into the kitchen and hid under the table. His tail was twice as thick as usual. I heard my cousin laugh, quickly followed by a series of what sounded like loud claps, and my cousin screaming out in pain. We ran into the living room and found my cousin, with her back to us, sitting on Mom's rug. "What happened?" my mother almost screamed out. My cousin turned around to face us. Her hand was covering her mouth and nose, but it was deep red. I was confused. Why did she take the red paint with her to the living room? Huge drops fell down on her shirt and onto Mom's rug. "Oh my God, did you bang your teeth?" My mom quickly helped her up and brought her to the kitchen table. She told me to go and get some towels, and I did. My cousin was crying hysterically. Mom tried wiping off the blood as carefully as she could. She had no idea where the blood was coming from. "Please tell me where you banged yourself," my mom kept asking my cousin, but my cousin just kept on crying. I went out into the living room. The rug had a huge blood stain in the middle of it. The only thing close to the rug was our sofa and Dad's armchair. Hitting your face on that would not have produced any sound similar to the clapping noises. "We need to take you to the hospital," I heard my mom saying. Right then, my brother started crying upstairs. He had woken up. "Becca, go upstairs and check on your brother," my mom said. I ran upstairs, and as soon as my brother saw me, he started playing peekaboo with his quilt. I kept playing with him for a while because I thought it was best for my brother not to see all that blood downstairs. After about 15 minutes, my mom came into my brother's room. She looked pale and exhausted. "Uncle Rob picked her up," she said. "He's taking her to the hospital." Uncle Rob was my dad's brother and my cousin's dad. "Mom, what happened?" I asked. "I don't know," Mom said. Somehow she hit her nose. Later that evening, I heard my dad talking on the phone with Uncle Rob. Liza was fine, but he sounded really worried. I was laying a puzzle with my little brother, who seemed to think that laying a puzzle involved stacking the pieces and calling them houses. When Dad had hung up, he started talking to Mom. I think he thought me and my brother were busy enough not to hear what he was saying. Apparently, Liza wouldn't tell Rob what had happened. It took Rob a lot of time to get anything out of her. Finally, she said that when she went to get the newspapers, something slapped her several times over the face. At first, Rob had thought that maybe my mom had slapped Liza, and that Liza for some reason wanted to protect Mom, but Liza insisted something else had slapped her. Rob was worried about Liza. He said he thought maybe she was losing her mind. She was talking about strange things that were happening in our house. I felt chills running down my spine. Thinking about it, weird stuff only happened when Liza came to visit. Was she doing this? Did she hit herself on the nose? And if she did, then why? I think my mom had come to the same conclusion as me, because she said she didn't think it was such a good idea for Liza to come and visit us for a while. My parents have since told me that Liza started going into counseling, but that they found nothing wrong with her. She didn't see things or hear voices. Everything was fine. We started seeing Liza again, but she refused to come to our place. We always met at Uncle Rob's or outside. This went on for a few months until it was time for my little brother's 3rd birthday. All of our extended family were invited, including Liza. At first she refused to come, but changed her mind when she was told that we would have the party in the garden. The party was great. Water fights, a clown, the whole shebang. Some of our relatives got a bit much to drink, so when it was time for everyone to go home, my dad and Uncle Rob had to drive some of them home. Liza wanted to go with her dad, but that meant she would take up a seat and it would take longer for everyone to get home. She reluctantly went to our house and sat on the sofa. My little brother asked Liza to read a story, and she did. She sat between me and my brother. Her voice sounded really nervous, but reading made her relax. My mom told us that she'd be upstairs changing the bedding on my little brother's bed. It was really nice having Liza here again with us. Then we heard a loud screech coming from upstairs, and several loud bangs, as if something was tumbling down the stairs. There was a last bang, and we all looked in panic towards the foot of the stairs. There was nothing there. Nothing. Then we heard footsteps running down the stairs. It was Mom. What was that? My mom sounded really scared. It sounded like someone fell down the stairs. Is someone else here? My mom asked. No, I said. My mom looked strangely at Liza. I could see Liza's hand shaking. Mom told all of us to come out in the garden. We did as she said and went and sat in the garden chairs. We sat out there in silence until Dad and Rob came back. Mom whispered something to Rob and Dad, and they quickly ran into the house, only to emerge about 10 minutes later. There's nobody in there, said Rob. The next day, Mom and Dad were arguing like never before. My mom said that she didn't trust Liza, and Rob was apparently angry at Mom for saying that Liza was mentally ill. I didn't know what mentally ill meant, but I do now. Then the doorbell rang. It was Rob, and a woman with grayish hair and purple clothes. She had several golden chains hanging around her neck. Rob was angry. I'll prove to you that Liza isn't lying, he said. Rob had found a medium who could communicate with the dead. My mom was furious. You mean to say that there's a ghost in here? Then how come it's only here whenever Liza is here? My dad quickly stepped in between my mother and Rob. Please, honey, let them do this. Not with me and the kids here, my mom said. Mom took us to our grandmother's, and I think we stayed there for a couple of days. When we came back, things were back to normal. My parents refused to talk to me about what had happened, and Liza stopped coming to us altogether. The relationship between my mom and Uncle Rob was never the same again. I never saw Liza as crazy, and I don't think my mom really did either. But the whole situation was so uncomfortable, and I think my mother wanted to protect us. When all of this happened, I was about 9 years old. I'm now 22. Liza is 29. She's got kids of her own and works as a nurse. We never talk about what happened. But a couple of years ago, I asked my dad what happened when my brother, mom, and I went to grandma's. What did the medium do? And this is what he said. When you guys had left, the medium almost immediately felt the presence of an old man who had lived here before. The old man kept saying to the medium that he wanted his money back. His hard-earned money, I believe his exact words were. Then he kept repeating, "Don't trust the blonde ponytail. Don't trust the blonde ponytail." At first we didn't get what it meant, but then it dawned on us. Liza was blonde and always put her hair up in a ponytail. But why would the ghost be mad at Liza? The medium guided the old man to the light and told us that he was at peace now and wouldn't bother us again. I thought it was all a bunch of crap, but I saw Rob relax. He really believed this woman. After that, Rob did some digging downtown and found out there had been an old man living in our house. He had been robbed by a local teen. The teen had pushed him down the stairs, which broke several bones in his body, and then tried to run past him. But the old man had grabbed the guy's leg, which made him fall over and crush his nose. The guy passed out from the pain, I guess. They later found them both on the floor, the old man dead, still clasping the ankle of the unconscious teen. Rob even found a mugshot of the teen. He had light hair in a ponytail.